Okay, as you can see here in Calgary, it's a nice snowy Boxing Day. I'm going to take you through my build. So we got the Asus Prime, because personally I'm one to love Asus products, combined with the i7-9700K processor. Very stoked about that. It was the last one at the store. There's a great story behind that processor. I've got a 2TB hard drive. I've got 16 gigs of 2066 megahertz RAM, which is going to be a nice upgrade from my old machine, which is just over here, sorry, just down here, which has 12 gigs of RAM. I got myself a CPU cooler because this CPU doesn't come with a CPU, so I had to buy that extra, which is another water cooler that I'm going to put in my system. Double radiator, which is fantastic. This thing is going to rock. I'm very excited. Over here we've got the RM850X power supply, 850 watt, which is less than what's in here. This is 1000 watt that was in this machine. This one's only going to have an 850, which is super exciting. We're going to jump past these two products, and then I'm going to add in the XC version of the 2080 RTX. I got a free copy of Battlefield 5 with this baby, excuse me, but it's expensive. That's a very expensive graphics card, probably the most expensive one I've ever bought. So I opted for a $20 upgrade on my keyboard, and I got the Huntsman Elite Opto Mechanical, and Opto is the awesome word there, because it's a laser that goes across, and when the keyboard comes down, it breaks the laser and signals that it's in. So it's an optical laser that detects the keyboard. It works great. Then I got the Zowie FK2, which is, after doing a ton of research, especially on RJN or Rocket Jump Ninja, who's a Quake veteran, been playing for a very long time. He recommended this as one of his top of the lines, and I couldn't get the actual mouse I wanted, but this is a great alternative. Then lastly, we're going to put all of that stuff into this Corsair 570X, and now I got the white edition, but in my opinion it's a gorgeous case. It's not as white as this case, but it's definitely a gorgeous white case. So excited about that too, and yeah, so that's pretty much the entire build, and it's time to put it all into the one case. Okay, so we're going to do the not necessarily unboxing, but the setup of the CPU. Here you can see, I'm not sure if you can actually see. Give me a second. We've got the i7 9700K processor. That's going to be a blast to put into this CPU right away here. So just give that a quick slice. We'll come back to that in a minute here. The RAM, same thing. We're going to give it a quick slice and come back to it in a minute. Actually, you know what? We can pull this out because we're going to need them very fast. So 16 gigs of Corsair Vengeance DDR, 2 times 8 gigs. So each stick is 8 gigs. Give us 16 total. And then the Prime Z370A2. Now, according to the fellow that I was working with at the store, the Z390 is just one step newer generation of this motherboard, and not much of a difference in cost. However, it's just the newer generation, so this one's going to work fine too. I personally like to work on my case or my box for my motherboard. That way we can still make sure everything's good. I'm actually going to have to pull out the manual for this, so give me a quick second here. What's this? Custom cable mod. Coupon at checkout. 20% off. Yeah, don't care. Processors. Okay, so here we're just going to quickly check into the CPU, and this just happened to be the right page that I wanted to switch on. So you can tell here we need to make sure that we're using 2 slots. For 2, we want to put them in DIMM B1, or excuse me, B2 and A2. And here you can see that B1, B2, and then A1, A2. So what did we say? B2 and A2. So we gotta go middle to the left and on the right side. That's where we gotta put our RAM sticks. So pull back our motherboard here. Pull it nice and close so we can reach it. Grab our sticks. Make sure when you're doing this, you're not moving your feet, so you're not causing any static electricity. And then if you can, touch a light socket, just the screws on a light switch, just to ground yourself out, and I've done that off camera, so that's no worry. Here you can see that we're going to put it in the right way. We need to make sure that the notch here lines up with the notch there. Pop these open. We're gonna need that one and that one. And slide it in. Push down a little bit. We're good to go there. You can see that it's way over here. It's locked in straight now. See how this one's still out? This one's back locked in straight. That's how we know it's snapped into place. Do the other stick as well. The sticker goes this way. Okay, there we go. So that's 2 sticks of RAM in. That's good. So I like to keep my space, my working space clean. So I'm gonna put this back in the box and say I'm done with that one. All right, so now we can see CPU. So I don't know why, but a lot of people that I watch online leave this here and pop it off when they put the new CPU on. I like to take it off prior. So we're gonna pull down on this pin, launch it up like that, and lift that up. Now we're gonna touch the most important part of the computer. You know, all of this is quite the important part, but without any one of these pieces, you're not able to work. Able to have a working computer. So let's see, how does this open? Sweet. All right, we've got our CPU. All right, so we got our CPU here. Make sure when you open it, you grab it by the way the thumbs are grabbing, and you never, ever, ever touch the underside. That's definitely a no-go. Definitely don't do that. So we have our setup here. We've got our CPU here. You can see how we've got notches on our CPU. One here just near my thumb, near that gold tack, and one here near this gold tack. See how it comes up like that? It's a straight line here, comes down over here and a straight line on this side. We want to make sure those notches go on the motherboard in the same sort of way. And the notches on my motherboard are on the top. So you can see there's one just beside this finger over here and one just beside this finger, but it's nice and smooth, nice and smooth, and nice and smooth. So when I grab my CPU, I'm going to grab it like this, and it's going to go in right there, like that. It just sits there on top. No connections, no nothing. Pull this back so that we can put it underneath the screw and then press down. There's definitely some tension right there, pushing down on the CPU. And we are good to go. That is great. Done and done. Like I said, keep your workspace clean. I'm gonna put this back in its box so that it just stays out of the way. Okay, so now that we have our CPU and we have our RAM and we have our motherboard, that's good to go. But we want to test for sure before we put it in the case. So what we need to do, unfortunately, is we have to open up the power supply. Right there, the R50X, and the graphics card, so that we can plug it into a monitor, which if you look, I've got one just behind my keyboard here, to make sure it posts, and that's a power on self-test post. When that's done and we see something on screen, we can go ahead and start putting the motherboard into the box, or the case, excuse me. We are actually not ready to move forwards just yet. I forgot about one part, because this is the first time that I've ever put one of these parts into this computer. And that happens to be the NvMe almost terabyte hard drive. So I actually haven't opened this yet. Quickly do this. Pull it out. Check this out. So this is a hard drive, just the same as this is a hard drive, and this is about half the size of this one, despite being so much faster over here. On top of these two being a hard drive, this is also called a hard drive. So this is the same sort of technology as this, but this skips a step that this one does not. So that's why these are recommended to be super duper fast. Now, I'm gonna quickly take it out. Mine was hidden underneath this bar right here, which is really cool. I've already undone it just a little bit. However, yours could be somewhere else on the motherboard. Sometimes I've even heard of them being on the back side of the motherboard, which is just crazy too, in my opinion. So if we're gonna grab this and get it out of the way, see how we've got a couple holes here. I'm gonna have to find out and quickly look through the motherboard manual to find out what to do here.